Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about income tax. What is it? Why do we have it? Is it good or bad? Should the United States get rid of it? And if so, what are the pros and cons? So let's talk about that. So income tax is a tax that you pay on your earnings. So if you work for a company, they withhold a certain amount from your paycheck and send it to the government. Now this only started in 1913 when they passed the 16th Amendment. Before that, all the money that the government made was from tariffs and other taxes, but they were looking for a way to make more money, so they passed a law that everyone had to pay income tax. Now this didn't start out very high, it was only 1%, but as the years went on, it got higher and higher and higher, and now we're at a point where if you make $500,000 a year, you're paying 37% of that to the government. Now, the people who receive this money say that it's to help the country, that it goes to schools and roads and the military. But the thing is, if you look at the Constitution, it doesn't say anything about an income tax. So a lot of people are saying, why should we have to pay this? We're already paying other taxes. We pay sales tax when we buy things. We pay property tax when we own property. And if we use a product, there's an excise tax on that. So why do we also have to pay income tax? Well, the thing is, it's a good thing for the country to have an income tax. Here's why. Number one, everyone who works pays this tax, so it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, you pay the exact same percentage. Now, the second reason is because everyone benefits from the government. We all use the roads, we all use the schools, we all use the military, and if we didn't have an income tax, they wouldn't be able to fund these things, so it's only fair that we pay a little bit of money to help the country. But here's the problem. A lot of people don't like paying this income tax. They think it's unfair. And if the government didn't have this, they would find another way to get money. Now, some people say maybe we could get rid of it and just have a flat tax on everything, like a sales tax. But the problem with that is sales tax only gets the government money when you buy something. Most people aren't buying things all the time, so it wouldn't bring in enough money. Others say we should get rid of the income tax and just have a tax on how much money you have in the bank. But the problem with that is that doesn't bring in any money. If you have $100,000 in the bank, you pay 1% tax on that. Well, the first income tax in the US was actually an import tax on incomes from foreign trade, which was passed in 1794. Then in 1861, during the Civil War, Congress passed a tax on incomes from all sources as a way to help pay for the war. That tax was supposed to be temporary, but it ended up being repealed only 22 years later in 1881. Then in 1913, the 16th Amendment was ratified, which allowed for a federal income tax. And ever since then, we've had an income tax except for a few years during and after World War II when it was temporarily suspended. Let's talk about some of the benefits of having an income tax. First, it would bring in a lot of money. In 2020, the federal government took in about $3.4 trillion in individual income tax revenue. If we had an income tax, we could use that money to fund all sorts of public services like public schools and education. Programs, healthcare programs like Medicaid and Medicare, Social Security and retirement benefits, and a whole host of other programs that we currently don't have the money to fund. For example, we could use some of that money to improve our national defense and security by funding the military, homeland security, and emergency response programs. We could also use it to support economic stability and public programs like unemployment benefits and welfare programs. And we could even use some of that money to invest in research, technology, and innovation. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, wait a minute, where will the government get the money to replace that income tax revenue? Well, the answer is clear. The government will get the money by taxing the people. Either they'll do it through an income tax, which is what we're talking about here, or they'll do it through other taxes like property taxes, sales taxes, or payroll taxes. And of course, we, the taxpayers, will end up footing the bill. So why should you care about this issue? As taxpayers, we should care because we want to ensure our money is being spent wisely. If the government is going to take our money, whether through taxes or fees, we want to make sure that it's being used to provide us with valuable services and to fund programs that we actually care about. Why do most developed countries have an income tax? Well, it's pretty simple. It's a way to fund the government and provide for the basic needs of its citizens. For example, income tax helps to pay for public schools and education programs. healthcare programs like Medicaid and Medicare, and retirement benefits through Social Security. What are the disadvantages for the country if we don't have an income tax? Well, it puts a greater burden on those who are already struggling. It also creates a less equitable society and can lead to decreased economic mobility for low-income earners. Additionally, it can result in underfunded public services and infrastructure, which can negatively impact the quality of life for all citizens. Why should you, the taxpayer, care about this topic? Well, the way that the government is funded and the level of taxation can have a direct impact on your wallet. It can affect the amount of money you have to pay in taxes and ultimately the amount of money you have left over to spend or save. So how will the government get the money to replace income tax? One way is through consumption taxes such as sales tax and value-added tax. These taxes are levied on the purchase of goods and services. Another way is through property taxes, which are based on the value of a person's home or other real estate. However, relying solely on these forms of taxation can be problematic. For example, sales and property taxes are regressive, meaning that they disproportionately affect lower-income earners who tend to spend a greater proportion of their income on necessities. In addition to funding essential services, income tax also plays a significant role in funding our national defense and security. It provides the resources necessary to fund the military, homeland security, and emergency response programs. This is crucial for protecting our country from external threats and ensuring the safety and well-being of our citizens. Another benefit of income tax is that it helps to stabilize the economy. During economic downturns, income tax revenues may decline while social safety net programs see increased demand. This can put a strain on government budgets, but having an income tax in place can help mitigate these challenges by providing a more stable and reliable source of revenue. Additionally, income tax can be used to fund public investments in research, technology, and innovation, which can drive economic growth and improve the standard of living for all citizens. While income tax has many benefits, it's important to acknowledge that it can also be a high tax burden for some individuals and businesses. The United States has a progressive tax system, which means that those who earn more income pay a higher percentage in taxes. This can be seen as unfair or burdensome by some, particularly those who are already struggling to make ends meet. Additionally, higher tax rates can discourage investment and entrepreneurship, which can impact economic growth. Now, it turns out that the United States isn't the only country that has an income tax. Actually, over 170 countries have some form of income tax. In fact, most developed nations have a system of income tax, but there are also some countries like Monaco, for example, that don't charge any income tax at all. For example, income tax helps fund public schools and education programs. It also funds healthcare programs like Medicaid and Medicare, and it supports Social Security and retirement benefits for eligible individuals. So one of the main reasons why most countries have an income tax is to ensure that their citizens and residents pay their fair share to support the country and its people. This helps fund essential public services and programs that benefit everyone. It also ensures that everyone contributes based on their ability to pay. After all, those who earn more can typically contribute more without undue hardship. Now, one of the biggest reasons why income tax is collected is to fund Social Security for retirees. In fact, Social Security is a social insurance program that provides monthly payments to retired workers and their spouses and survivors. However, it is a pay-as-you-go program, which means that current workers' contributions fund the benefits paid to retirees, and these benefits are not funded from general tax revenue. Income tax makes up about 3/5 of the Social Security program's funding, and the rest comes from other sources like payroll tax on employers. But Social Security is not the only program that income tax helps fund. It also provides benefits for disabled individuals and the survivors of deceased workers. Income tax also funds our national defense and security. It pays for funding for the military, homeland security, and emergency response programs. And income tax also helps fund economic stability and public programs like unemployment benefits, food stamps, welfare programs, and more. These programs help those who are unable to work or who have lost their jobs to have a safety net to fall back on. Now, while an income tax does help fund many important programs, it can be a burden for some people, especially higher income earners and some businesses. For example, in the United States, the top 1% of earners pay about 34% of their income in federal taxes, which includes income tax, Social Security, and Medicare, and small businesses face various tax obligations like income tax, payroll tax, and self-employment tax. These high tax rates can discourage investment and entrepreneurship, which can impact economic growth. Another disadvantage of an income tax is that there is a risk of misuse or inefficiency in government spending. When the government collects tax money, it can sometimes be spent inefficiently or wasted on projects that don't benefit the public. This can lead to a growing national debt and less money available for important programs. Now, a significant disadvantage of income tax is its complexity. The tax code is complicated and ever-changing, which can make it difficult for individuals and businesses to understand their tax obligations. This complexity also leads to a lot of paperwork and record-keeping, which can be time-consuming and expensive, and many people need to hire accountants or use tax preparation services to ensure that they are paying the correct amount of tax. And another disadvantage of income tax is the potential for tax evasion. Some individuals and corporations may try to avoid paying their fair share by exploiting loopholes and engaging in tax-avoiding activities. This not only reduces government revenue, but it also creates an uneven playing field for businesses that comply with tax laws. Now, before we wrap up, I just want to say that there are strong opinions on both sides of this issue. Some people believe that income tax is a necessary evil to fund essential programs and ensure that everyone pays their fair share, while others argue that it is a burden on individuals and businesses and can lead to economic inefficiency. So there you have it. Those are some of the pros and cons of not having an income tax here in the United States of America. What do you think? Is income tax fair, or is it a burden on taxpayers? Let me know your thoughts down below. Also, don't forget to support the channel. It really helps out. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. As always, I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.